Hello, welcome to this moment with Caroline and Lisa. We are here to illuminate the core of the feminine force. And this morning in this live, we're going to be talking to Caroline about one of the side effects of transformation. Like what happens when you actually do awaken your feminine force and what are the side effects? Because we do know that it's important to look for side effects, right? So here we are. Caroline is going to share about one of the side effects that she experienced. Hi,
Yeah,
Caroline.
well, the good news, Lisa, is that it's a very upside to the side effects, it's a plus. Yeah, because like definitely when you start to go into the emotional world and start to, try to connect to, your truth, start to uncover yourself from, maybe the conditioning that you've had, and you want to start to defrost those areas in yourself that maybe you've kind of locked away. And like we say, like, when you start to come into your heart and you bring that warmth into your body, you start to kind of the vitality in your body and the connection with your actual body unlocks, that kind of the fluid motion of the kind of life that force that goes through you. So then you start to naturally get more vital in the world. You've more ideas, you've more, access to your intuition. So then you get more inspiration and then you become more creative. So, it was amazing actually when I went to the cottage, I started doing, like, I was always a creative person. I was a creative person since I was very young, and I followed my creativity and I studied visual communication, design communications, and I was always professionally very creative. But I suppose how I kind of unboxed myself was that I hadn't, like, my brother was always, he was an artist, so he went into the kind of, I suppose he was always very in touch with expressing himself and expressing his truth and his voice. He always had that, and I felt I kind of took on the more responsible role in the family because I was trying to kind of keep a structure on the family, because my parents broke up when I was 18, and I was always trying to kind of, I suppose, be the leader, and I was always bringing the sense, the sensible side to things. So I thought, well, what I'll do is, he was kind of doing that, and I would bring in the creativity, but bring business into it because I had an interest in business. So I thought that would be more structured. But it was brilliant and it was great and I loved it and everything like that. But there was definitely that part of me that didn't have a voice, my actually own voice. Like, what did I want to say? What did I feel was important? What did I want to express from my heart? What was unique to me? And I suppose I was always very observant. I was always very creative, but I never, that deep observation and contemplative aspect that I had of myself never had a kind of place to be seen. So then when I had gone into the cottage and I'd done that kind of, when I talk about in my kind of origin story, where I start to renovate the cottage and rip everything out, and then to do the interior design of, from a traditional cottage into something that was contemporary, that I was actually doing that for myself as well. I was kind of going into my own psyche, and I was trying to uncover like my own truth and what I wanted to say and what I wanted to say about where we are here, humanity. So then I started to write, and I never thought I was ever going to write a book or anything. So I wrote The Rainbow Warrior for children, and it was about mindfulness and connection to nature, and how we're all connected in the oneness and stuff. Then I wrote Declare Republic, a Free State of Mind, and I wrote The Rainbow Warrior Wonder Journal about bringing design and geometry and stuff in together, for people, for children to see the patterns in life and internal and external patterns. And then Flourish by Design. So I actually got a kind of truer sense of my creativity, and that was really unlocked, and an amazing sense of fulfillment from that. And that's really felt the feeling of purpose from like a life that was okay. I had a great career and profession and stuff like that, but it wasn't what I felt a purposeful purpose, my actual, what would light me up and give me energy. And I don't see as work as such. I see it as my contribution to the world, that kind of way. It's completely different thing altogether, and that's the bonus of doing that. That's the gold, and that's what I think really brings a lot of change when people do that, when people have kind of invested in their own alchemy and their own archaeology, I call it, that they can bring that gold to the world. And it's very, very precious when people do that, because you can have a huge impact on everyone around them, and especially on their daughters and the next generation that are watching, because you're modeling that, and it takes time. They mightn't exactly notice it, but over time it's compounded, and when they look back, they can see that's been modeled to them, so you're really, I was kind of doing it for my generation, the younger generation, my daughter, my son, and my nieces as well. I have a niece in America, and I have two nieces down in Wexford, that I know that they watch, they're always watching. And if you want to see a change in the world, try and be that change, and then the younger generation have something to see, so that's the upside of it.
That's it's really interesting, because there's a few things that I sort of landed with me when you shared that. What I've been contemplating a lot lately is this idea of when our body, our mind, and our emotions are right, and we've integrated those three states together. It's like I'm owning all of me, and as soon as I come into that state, it's almost like I open up a channel for spirit. And so for me, it's like the more I'm at ease with my emotions and I understand my emotions, the more the spirit can work with me, or the nature or life can work with me. And what that does for me is it drops original thought in. Like the inspiration is original. It's stuff that has like not been around. I haven't seen it anywhere. It's like, wow, that was really cool. And so, I think that it's like, I can remember I have been creative as well, but it's almost like the creativity is just amplified and becomes more pure when all of me is here and present in this moment. There's a purity to it, and there's an originality to it. There's an inspiration to it. And sometimes, like, I don't know if it's happened for you, but it leads us in a different direction, because we really get in touch with what it is we're here to do in the world, because we start to feel that clarity of purpose, and that it's just like, that is definitely, it's a great upside. I think that is like the best side effect, because part of the emotional work that we're doing, like you were saying, like when you're going in and sometimes it's a bit tricky work, right? Because we've got to feel things that we haven't felt before, and we know that we have to go through that. And yet the thing is, if we also know that by doing that, we become more of who we are, if we also know that by doing that, we may need to end certain relationships and we may not know where we're going, and that may be a mystery. But if we know in the back of our mind that just by doing this work, we're going to get clear on where we need to go, that is actually part of that process. Even though if you're way back in the process and you're just starting to work on this, and you just start, or you've maybe had a relationship end, or you've had stuff happen, you're just starting to do it and you feel like your life is a complete mess, know that one of the results of this process is that you do get clear, and that you do find this purpose, and you do actually have these feelings, right, about, oh, wow, I need to do this now. And it's passionate. It's like, so you become so passionate about what you're here to do on this planet.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is, and it's amazing, because we're talking about creativity. I think I see, especially from being somebody who's always been creative in the creative world, or living, in professional world as well of creativity, that when you're coming up with ideas, sometimes it's like based on, there's a difference between coming up with ideas that are based on ideas already present in humanity's consciousness at the moment. So it's like taking this idea and this idea, putting it together, and that's kind of conceptual creativity. But inspirational creativity is completely different. It's a completely different feeling, because it's something that's never been present in society, in the world, in human consciousness before. It's like you said, that purity, that is like, gold, and there's a feeling to that, because there's no ownership to it. Like before, I would have thought of, like, especially in, it's very competitive in design, and because all the senior designers want to be competing to get their idea chosen. So there might be a boardroom of 10 people wanting to get their idea chosen, and then but the inspiration comes from a different place, so you don't take ownership of it. You know, it's kind of just coming through you for the good of everyone.
Yeah, that's true. That's beautiful. Beautifully well said. So we hope that we have inspired you today to actually begin to awaken your feminine force, and maybe check it out a little bit more. Watch some of the lives. Have a think about how you can start to activate your own feminine force. Keep an eye on what we're doing, because we're running monthly trainings every month, and each month we have a specific feature that we talk about, and it actually helps us. We're targeting mothers of daughters, so we're linking this awakening of the feminine force to certain challenges that we may be facing. Like we've just done one on depression and isolation and secrecy. So we're linking this whole thing with the challenges that we are facing in our everyday life. And I think that's, for me, that's been the biggest thing about actually really understanding my emotions, is that it is so real. It is so actionable. It is so, I can apply this in my everyday life to actually help me. It's not just more information. And that's what you're saying too, Carolyn. It's like, this is not just more information. This is just not more concepts. This is not learning something new. This is actually coming into a different state of being, so that the way you are in relationship completely changes, and that changes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's fresh and new.
Yes. So we'd love you to join us, and yeah, say hi somewhere along the line.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn, for sharing today. That was really beautiful conversation again, nice and juicy. And we'll see you again on Feminine First Aid in a few days' time.
On Monday, on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Monday, by Tuesday. Thanks, everyone. Bye.